Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It's been how many years? I was asking Landy when was the last time I was here. I can't even remember. I do remember I have gray hairs when I first came in here. So let me give you first a quick background of what I do for a living. I'm a special ed teacher for Rutgers University, and I've been doing it I'm turning 24 years with them now. And hopefully, sure. I'm turning 24 years old working for Rutgers for special ed. And I raise stingless bees in the Philippines. Unfortunately, I don't have a farm in this country. And that's the reason why I'm remotely, or we're developing the lands that we owe and inherited from our grandparents. So let me start off with geography, first of all. You guys, perhaps I would assume, love to travel. Have you guys been to Southeast Asia by any chance? I want to give you a geography class of 101. So this is exactly the Philippines, and it has 7,200 islands. Can you imagine that? 7,200 islands. So every time somebody asks me, what does it look like to live in a 7,200 islands? I said you could see 7,200 sunsets and sunrises differently, differently. But anyway, our farm is located here. This is region 5. And the northern part is region 1 and 2 and so on and so forth. This is much more of a Muslim, not dominated by Muslim, but majority of them are diverse cultural background now based on religion and so on and so forth. This used to be back in the days, the haven of the Muslim community, which is now obviously better, a little bit better. This country has been, I was born in the United States, by the way, in Troy, in Michigan. But my grandfather, who used to be the ambassador for the United Nations for the Philippines, and he has taught us how to love this country in spite of. We don't call this, we were told not to call the country, especially if they're poor, as third world countries. Always address them as developing countries. So that's a very diplomatic way of saying, hey, you know what? You're not really poor, you're developing yourself. So this island is basically region 5, and the dialects are different from the rest of the regions here. Just a little note, you could see these tiny little islands. When my grandfather was still alive, my cousins would play little ambassadors. We would pick islands in different parts of this country, and we will act as presidents, and he will try to train us how to trade and be diplomatic with other neighboring islands. I was the most evil president back in the days when I was young. But anyway, going back, okay, can I just forward this? Thank you. Okay, all right. So this is region 5, and the rest is numbered by regions. Take note, region is just saying how many states they have. In the United States, we have 50 states, and they have 12 regions. I believe they're trying to do it region 18 now, 18 regions. But anyway, they're very close to the rest of the Southeast Asian countries. South China Sea, which is very controversial now. I don't know if you heard anything about China has been... Right, they made an island here. They made an island here and claim it as their own. And that was during the Obama administration, because of oil. Simple as that, because of oil. So what is so important about knowing geographically the regions in the country? Because the bees that we have, ever since probably God created the world, they started here. And some of the bees that started here, the stingless bees, they were transferred or migrated from different parts of the island. Mankind basically took some of them from here, okay? But if somebody will tell you it came from this region, that region, this region, this region, No, they don't know their history. It came from this region, the stingless bees. The scientific name is Tetrabirois, all right? Tetragonolabirois. Very, very specific, only that species. They claim there's other stingless bees. I've been to this part of the island, 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 this one and this one, this one. Nothing. There's no other species of stingless bee except ours. Yes?
I'm sorry, Jay, could you say that name slowly, maybe spell it for us?
Oh, sure. I have a spelling.
Or if you have it written down somewhere?
I have written it down, yes.
Okay.
I could write it down
On the
later on.
slides, that's great.
Yes. Or hopefully the slides, yes, I did. So that is the foundation of where is it now, our farm. But proud to say that it started in Region 5. They are the primary aborigines of that island, you know, the stingless bees, the Tetrabiroi species. And the rest were just, you know, when mankind was just transferring them from one farm to another, okay? So let's go to the next farm. Thank you. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Now, just to give you what is Region 5, again, I'll be quick. Region 5 is not notoriously known because it hasn't reached the Guinness Book of World Records. It has the only volcano that has a perfect cone. The only volcano in the world. Perfect cone. Really, really perfect. Can I advance this?
You should be able to.
See that? Beautiful. This is my grandparents' house. Nice, beautiful view, believe me. Or one of my grandparents' house. But it is so serene, you know, very serene. Perfect cone, you know.
What's the name of the volcano?
Mayon volcano. Mayon volcano. Every time I go home, I love to stay in the balcony, or we call it the verandas, and just think about how God really created Earth. You know, I'm not a religious person. Believe me, I have horns and tails, but it's really magnificent. You know, it's really, really magnificent, especially when the bright, no clouds, clear sky. Obviously, the perfect cone in the world.
How high is that?
The high, I'm not into, I don't know exactly now. That's because it's growing. Maybe I could answer that question indirectly. When we were kids or teenagers, every time we go on vacation, I was able to go, we hiked all the way up to the summit. It took 4 days.
4 days?
4 days. And it's brutal 4 days. But don't worry about water, because water is everywhere. 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 Right in the summit. Right in the summit. I mean, there's a huge crater, and we were standing right there. You could smell the smoke. 4 days. And it took 5 days for us to go down because the place was extremely very exotic. Wild orchids, animals, wild deers, and even wild chickens. You'll see them.
It's a mile high?
I'm sorry, say it
Do you
again?
think it's a mile high?
I just looked it up. It's
8,000.
8,081 feet high.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
No, a mile and a half.
Mile is, yeah, a mile and a half.
Mile and a half, yes.
Is it a red volcano or a gray volcano?
I'm sorry?
Is it a red volcano or a gray volcano?
Is it an active volcano or?
Yes.
Yes, it's very active. Okay, good thing I almost forgot that. It's very, very active. When I was there, it was glowing red on the crater itself. 2-3 days ago, I was told that it's starting to act up a little bit. It's very destructive when it erupts. Believe me, it's very destructive. They have to go, ask the villagers here, at least in a radius of 3 to 4 miles, if it's starting to be active, because those lavas will go down. See this brown, they're all lavas, and they could reach as far as this one right here. But in spite of so many eruptions, it still maintained its perfect cone. It never chipped up a little bit, not even one. Okay. So yeah, that's where it came from. This is the region where our stingless bees are from originally. You know, the great, great, great forefathers of all stingless bees are here, or was here, or has always been here. Okay. All right. So let me go to the next slide. 3. Okay. So. How am I going to start this? There's huge lands. My grandfather left a lot of huge land. I'm not bragging it. The smallest land is probably about 200 hectares. Hectares, they use hectares, H, and here we use acres, so times 2.2. So 1 acre times 2.2.
Hectare is about 2 acres.
2 acres, yeah. So most of our bees now are here, distributed so differently in different areas. This is this is just a small land, maybe about 75 hectares. And this is all the colonies that are there. So imagine, they're made of wood. I'll explain it more why we don't use wood anymore. And they're just exposed, wildly growing, doing their job, participating in the growth of nature. Same thing, just no shed, you know, rain or shine. The weather in the Philippines is just two, wet and dry. When it rains, it rains. When it's dry, it is dry. Same, that's it. Imagine all the foliage. We have foliage here. We have mangoes. We have coffee. It's been there since World War II, you know. And just a little post. There will be nice videos of all of this. Of all the hives that we have. Hold on. Okay. Now this is a hive. That's a hive. That's our hive. It's made of coconut shells. And in the video, there's a process that how they do things. You were just very fortunate because last November 5, I told him it was a good weather for at least 2 days straight, sunny. And I said, please take a video and harvest to me at least 5 hives so that it could be for your benefit and see exactly how they do it. The propolis and everything is there. They're just hanging, made of coconut shell. And I'll tell you why and reason why we're using it. We have a shed type also. It's just hanging, you know, it's just hanging itself. And the bees are just there. We're just also very fortunate that the foliage there is extremely abundant, very abundant. There are some bee racers whose foliage is not even, you know, how would you classify that as a foliage? We have only 3 or 4 coconut trees and the rest is nothing, you know. And we also use this box type too, just wildly growing. That's another colony, and so on and so forth. And aside from the coconut shell hives, we also use the boxes too. And why we use boxes? Because we have access to the wood, free stuff. But we learned our lesson. I'll tell you why we're trying to avoid using this now. And same thing, the boxes that we thought that would be great. It was great, but we learned our lessons after 4 or 5 years. Not to use them. And those are the new ones, the older ones, using also small little houses, you know, we call it small little houses. New ones, every time you see those coconut shells, they're new hives, okay? And they have a little cover and that's about it. They rain or shine, that's it. All right, let me go to, is that? The next one. Okay. I wanted to give a close-up picture of what they look like. These are the stingless bees. The black ants, I'm sure you're familiar with that. They're a little bit smaller than that. And the wings of black ants are bigger. Theirs is smaller. They don't bite. Biologically, based on what the studies were made by different universities there about our bees and other bees, they said it's not different to any other honeybees out there, except that they don't sting you. Which I think they still do something to annoy you, you know? Yeah, that's also another thing.
So these are all coconuts?
Coconut shells, that's correct.
And they build a colony inside the coconut?
Yes, they will build their hives. Yeah. In short, you're just providing them the framework or where they live or how they're going to be arranging their own colony. But this is their infrastructure, that we call it the infrastructure for them to start off their own colony.
So they are cavity dwellers.
Yes, they could be considered as cavity dwellers, true. Yes. You'll see this is the entrance towards inside the coconut. This is way overdue because it's already expanding too much.
Do you ever have to requeen, or do they just supersede by themselves?
You have to help them supersede themselves. If not, you see they will leave the colony and go somewhere else. Yeah. So they'll carry their bags and luggages.
So how do you introduce a new queen?
We don't introduce a queen. No, we don't. We've learned our lesson there not to introduce any queens. Whatever is left is there, and the queen cells, and that's the time. On the video, you will see more of the details on that. Okay, that's a good question, though. Every time you see the entrance doing like this, it's the inside of this colony. They're getting overpopulated now. It's getting tight. The population is so big. They need to grow a bigger space. Yes.
Jay, what is that? Is that beeswax?
No, that's the propolis.
It's propolis.
Yep. The beeswax on this species is very, very minimal. Very, very minimal. I think the better way how to describe the description of our bees and versus yours is that first, they don't sting. Number two, they're so tiny. And number three, when they try to outgrow their colony, they would leave and say, hey, you know what, we have to go somewhere else. But the good thing is that this colony, which they're going to be leaving, some of them will be left behind, and another form of colony will grow. That's the only thing.
So they swarm.
They swarm.
Just like ours.
Yes.
I've seen tiny bees.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my flowers.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously bees. Could they be related to yours if they're so small?
No.
Those little guys.
Yeah, those are solitary.
Solitary bees.
Like digger or leafcutter bees, or there's a whole bunch of species.
Yeah.
But not these.
Yeah.
So where do they store honey, Jay?
We'll see that in the video. Very much interesting.
How many bees would be in one of those smaller hives?
They have a bigger colony. I believe it's at about 600,000. That's what they said.
600,000.
Yes.
But
They're really little.
compared to our
Small.
bees, they're like a quarter of the size.
Yes. There's 600,000 population in one colony. So they love they love tight spaces, you know.
And that queen is producing all those.
Yes, one queen. Yes, one queen. And same thing. So maybe I think the best way how to say maybe I should say now.
So these coconut shells, you stack them and you have a little hole between one and the other, or they're just stacked in a pile?
Well, I'll give you an introduction on the video. But anyway, we use coconut shells for a very, very simple reason. We want it sustainable. Number two, it doesn't cost us because the land is producing coconuts. And every time they harvest coconuts and we sell the coconuts are produced for oil, cooking oil and so on. maybe some of the cooking oils that you guys were using came from our land. But we don't have to buy them. It's there, so we don't have to spend money. And that's the reason why we don't want, it's very sustainable. Every 45 days, they're harvesting coconuts, and they dry them, they cook them, and it transforms into coconut oil and sold to the market, you know. So it piles lots of coconut shells, piles and piles. We don't have to buy them. The disadvantage of this is that it's just a little bit of a labor intensive. That's all, okay? The disadvantage of using the regular wood, we have to be very, very careful, because the woods that we have are not well mature. You have to pay lots of money for a mature wood so that it could sustain the environmental challenges. And some of the wood that we have encountered, which you saw, that like little houses, they're starting to have termites outside. Termites. And 1 or 2 termites will probably, we don't know yet if the termites will be, if the bees will be destroyed by the termites. But with constant monitoring, we found out that the outside wood is starting to be infested by termites. So we immediately switched to growing this. So all of the things that are made on a little housing boxes, we're really slowly transitioning back again to the traditional one, which is used by coconut shells.
Are there any insects that are a threat to your hives?
Oh, that's very good. Good question. I would answer that question. I could answer it now, but I will go direct I'll go back to that later on to answer Landy's question. Well, not Landy's question, but the things that I'm doing now is I'm trying to influence politicians in the Philippines to stop exportation of the stingless bees in the Philippines. Now, there's so many reasons why, and I could go back to that, you know. But, all right, so these are the things that so far that you will see, just coconuts and so on and so forth. So the lessons is we go back here now and avoid making houses of hives. It's very, very easy actually to make them, and it's just a matter of labor intensive. Okay? Yes?
Did you have frames or any type of internal structure to those boxes?
Yes, it's just it could be any sizes from 4 or 5 inches to 4 inches, small tiny boxes, and they grow in 2 stories or 3 stories. In Australia,
But are they open inside, or are
they're
they
open,
movable
just open, no frames, totally. I'm talking about I'm sorry, I'm talking about just the frame itself. Yes, no frames, hollow inside, totally nothing.
So they're hex where they lay their eggs.
Yes, they're
Very, very small.
very small. You have to have a very good eye. I have to put my glasses on. I have bad eyes. They're so tiny, you know. They're really so tiny. It's really amazing, you know. It's really amazing. So let's go to how they split. And this is very interesting. I want to have 40 videos, and the language was in their own language. I'm just trying to translate it to you guys. Okay. Hold on. Let's do the second one, please. Thank you. All right. How can I stop it?
You can't really stop it.
Okay.
Maybe you can.
We're here.
Let's see. I don't know if we've got a button to do that.
At night, it's like a small
No, you can't really stop it.
Do you have a sound?
Yeah, we should.
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
All right. This was just November 5.
Were those bigger cells queen cells?
Say it again.
Bigger cells.
On the top there. Top.
Ah,
That big cell at the top.
I'm sorry, hold on. I just lost. Okay. And can I also pause it as well?
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Okay. Rewind.
Okay.
So how can I stop it?
You can pause and play just by pressing
Okay.
space.
All right, good. Is the volume good?
Should be.
Extension of a root.
So what you see now is first 2 coconut shells. They were open, okay? And this is what you see. They were open. When they were prepared, they were obviously empty. Has to be very, very clean. Very, very clean. So this is at least 6 to 8 months old hive, okay?
So, di pa siya nabubuksan, pero nag-extend na siya, no? Nagkaroon na siya ng...
All right, hold on. I know. Okay. Okay, watch. This is the main center of the hive itself, because inside, at the center, and plus covers on top of another. Okay, so that's the center. Watch when he opens that. We just tape it. Yes, masking tape. Yes, it's just masking tape. Yeah. Watch when he opens it. That's the opening you were asking about. The spiral. Yeah. Now, the whitish color, that's the queen cells. The white color thing, you can see that?
Young queens.
Young queens, yes. And the rest is basically non-queens. All right, so you could easily tell, but
Where are the drones?
they're flying all over the place. You know, they leave actually. No,
No drone larvae here.
no, yes. So, yeah. So these are some of the waxes right here. Very few. He saw one queen cell right there.
So Jay, this is a whole brood comb here.
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's no honeycomb there at all. It's all brood cells.
Brood cells in the middle. Now you will see the honeycombs in the outside. Outside. Good. So it's like living in an apartment or in a house. This is our living room. This is our dining room. You go second floor. That's our,
It's
that's.
just like our bees. Our bees do the same thing. They
Yeah.
have an organization.
They have an organization too. Yes. Okay. Excuse me. Now, we've been very, very lucky because the average queen cells, it goes from 7 to 9 queen cells. Okay, so if you cut them into half, all you have to do now is you could put an empty, clean coconut shell on top again, and empty, clean coconut shells on top. You have one colony. Then another half. Put another one on top, put one on the sides again, tape it, that's your 2 colonies. Now, where's the queen? The queen might be hiding somewhere. Sometimes it will show up and poof, hide right away. But if 2 of your shells has a queen cell, and let's say the queen, live queen is here, and there's no, and it's just the queen cells here, the hive will survive. The hive will survive. So every year we call it always the ×2 approach. One colony, if you harvest that in 1 year, you split it, you take the honey, then that makes you 2 hives, and it goes on and on and on every year. So if you have 50 hives, 1 year, you're going to have 100. Or we've tried to be ambitious 2 years ago. We were able to find 8 queen cells, and we took 4 out, put 1 on another empty coconut shell. We were able to make 3 hives. The survivability of it is around 50 to 70%. I don't know, we don't know why. They prefer, I don't know if they prefer always, if you split us, please do not split us more. That's what we're believing more.
What happens if those queens start to hatch and there's no place for them to go? Will they kill the first queen out?
The
Queens, or will they?
what they were saying that queen is only living for 161 days. By that time that queen dies, the queen cell is already ready to hatch. Or what they do as a practice, they would kill the bee, the honey, the queen. They would kill the queen and let the queen cell survive on its own. As a rule of thumb, I find it very barbaric to me, in my opinion, so I told all the workers, we will not gonna kill any bees here at all. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's so we'll just leave it the way it is. And but some farmers or bee farms, they would kill the queen and let the queen cell survive on its own, or the workers help its own. And I said, let's not do that.
Have you harvested honey?
Oh, it will be here. No worries. Yeah. So in short, yeah. So he's just gonna put it there. Now, Landy, you were saying the box itself. Okay, it's basically empty. If you want to transfer this to the box type, all you gotta do is scrape the whole thing and put it in the center. That's it. And cover it so on the second layer. That's it. You know, that was it. Yes, easy. Very easy. But if you don't want to do that, since we learned a lesson, we have to pay a lot of money for good wood, hard wood, and hopefully it will last and sustain in harsh weather conditions, then, you know, the cost will go up. But since we have abundance of coconut shells, why we have to do that?
How much honey would you get from like one cone?
How much what?
How much honey would you get from one coconut?
I have the sample of honey bee bottles.
Yeah.
How much is that?
Was that your bottle on the side?
No, I have it right here. It's converted to US dollars. It's about
Not how much it costs, but how much you get out of it.
the size of the bottle I have. Yeah,
Small.
it's about this size. It's $20 US, 1,000 pesos.
And what's the quantity like from a colony?
What's the
How
volume
many? Yeah.
of honey that you would get from one colony?
Yeah, I could get it right here. All right. Hold on. Okay. I don't know, how many mLs is this?
That's about 12 ounces there.
12 ounces?
Yeah.
Okay. This is about almost 3 colonies.
Wow.
3 what?
3 colonies made 12 ounces of honey.
Boy.
Okay.
And what color is that?
I'm sorry?
It's amber.
Is it amber? Light
Is
amber?
Yeah, lights later on you can have a taste test, only those brave of hearts. Okay. We have one that was harvested 1 year ago, and this is the difference. You can see the color, and this was just harvested of this year when I went home 4 months ago. The taste is different, the texture is different, the viscosity is different, and believe it or not, I prefer the ones that are really very wild. And I've tasted honeybees here too. I buy honeybees in supermarkets. You know, I prefer this one rather than I prefer the wild one, which is a younger honey. So this is pesos, 1,000 pesos, that's $20 US. 20. Only the rich can buy it. You know, I mean, I'm sad to say that, but you know, it's only the ones who have the money could buy it.
Do they export it?
That's a very good question. I'll be honest with you, our honeys taste, your honeys taste, it's not gonna be, ours is not gonna be competitive. So I will answer Nandy's question is on her email. How is the business, blah, 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 and this. I will answer that. But I will go into that details, okay? So that's it. It's just simple. Yeah. They don't care if they see the queen here or on the left side or right side. They don't care. As long as you have the queen cells on the one side and the other side is queen cells, cover it up. Cover up, that's it. And hang it up. Okay.
Do you have a problem with varroa mites? Are these resistant or have you not encountered them?
Maybe I could answer it now. To your left, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. We're very fortunate. We never have any varroa mites. And that's the reason why I'm fighting it so strongly to put a moratorium on exportations of our bees, or any bees.
Well, importation would be bringing something in from the outside.
Export means going out. Yeah, we don't want that.
That's not going to bring the mites in.
Right.
Bring the mites in.
Well, there's a reason. I would go back slowly why we want that to happen, and we're trying to influence many politicians why we don't want, because that's a very good question. Now, they were able to take a very close video of a stingless honeybee bringing home some pollens. See that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'll repeat it again. Look at that. Yeah.
They're very dark color, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Black. Yeah. So, all right. Let's move on. How do you get to the next video?
Which one?
Yes, that one right there. All right. Okay. So in the middle, that's where the queen cells, or maybe a queen hiding somewhere, and they put coconuts on top. Now, what he's doing, since the coconut has, we call it, there's an eye, 3 holes. They're not really holes, but if you poke your fingers, you could make a hole. Yeah. So what he's doing, he's covering that with a very thin layer of propolis, okay? And there's a reason behind, because when it was split, the workers must identify this is an extension of my house. That is the only reason why it's given part of it. It's like marking their territory, and that's the reason why he's putting that. That's it. That's actually the finished one. you know? It's just marking their territories. Hey, you came from the other side of the house, this is your extension house. And see what? Now, Landy, you asked where are the honeys? The honey will be here.
Gotcha,
Okay. When you take them out, you pour it, it will go there.
Do they store the honey in beeswax cells, like the brood?
No.
Where do they put the honey?
All right.
One of those brown things at the beginning.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay. I think this is supposed to be the last one. Okay. Right. It's just actually the finished product. So that's already 2 colonies now from the first hive. Okay. All right. Actually, I think it did too. So what he's saying, he wants to attempt to put that another queen cells on that empty shells. He said, you know what, don't bother because it's so small. There's only 2, yeah. It may not survive.
Speaking Tagalog?
Yes. Oh no, Region 5 dialect.
Okay.
Yeah, not the national language. Yes, you could have that, please. So not to waste it, so he decided to put it back. Okay. So he's saying that, you know what, why don't we just kill the queen? And because there's queen cells here. So, I don't know if he remembers what I said to all the workers, do not kill. But it's spiral, yes.
Is it efficient use of space?
Actually, if you notice on the first video, they're not spiral.
No?
Yes, they have a way of how to architect their own designs of infrastructure. You know, as if, they have their own thinking. The other ones, if you remember, they're just flat, and this one is spiral. So it depends maybe who's the engineer in that colony, you know. Yeah. So he's putting 1 queen cell there again back, you know, just a queen cell. Yeah. Okay, so what he's saying, there's 2 queen cells on one half, and he's just going to put 1 queen cell on the other half. What is the risk? Time will tell, you know, time will just tell. But our casualty in terms of splitting is actually not even close to 1%. We always have a very high survivability. Maybe it's because of the foliage, maybe it's because of the right exposure to the surroundings, that they have a lot of plants to pollinate. There's food, you know, human beings always die of hunger. They won't.
Lahat mayroong queen cell. Dahil sa hindi natin nakita yung queen, i-assume na rin natin na mayroon yung queen cell. Para sigurado.
So he just put 1 here and 1 over there, but assume that the queen is hiding somewhere. That's what he was saying. Okay. Thanks. That's the final one. Okay.
You want to play this one or the other?
Yeah, we could play this. Okay. So that is the center round? Okay, second one. See? Landed. Look. That is where the honeys are. Outside. Yes. Propolis is honey. Oh, pollen? Propolis. That's the honey. outside. I've tasted, I mean, I pick it, put it in my mouth, that's it, you know. Again, tape. Those are pollens right there, the yellow ones. Again, you open that, you'll see honey. Queen. Oh, pollen, I'm sorry. There you go. With honey there. See? So he's taking one layer, one at a time, okay? That's another outside layer of the coconut shell. Pollen mixed with, see those? Oh, those are honeys. Propolis.
You know, the way they store their honey is actually looks closer to the way bumblebees store
Honeys, yeah.
than honeybees. Bumblebees have like little pots of wax in their colonies, and that's looks more like that.
Wow, the evolution of the bees, huh?
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was the 1, 2, 3. That was the third or second outer shell. Okay. He's gonna go to the middle shell, and you see the difference. That's another outer shell. There you go. There's your honey right there. The pods, they're outside. Right there. See that? They're in the pods. Okay? So they're outside. What's the next one?
Yeah, I think that's the last one.
That was the last one? Okay. All right. So there's no more other videos there or pictures?
I don't think so. Nope.
No? Okay. How about the other one I sent?
Oh, yeah, actually you do. You've got these.
Okay, stop there, please. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, just butt in, please. We have a dream of these farms. We have a dream of these honeys or these stingless bees, you know. And I'm not gonna be embarrassed to tell you, we wanted to be the biggest in Southeast Asia.
You need to speak louder,
Okay.
Jay.
I wanted to whisper
I
it
can
because,
barely hear you,
yeah.
and I'm right next to you.
So our dream for what we're doing now is we wanted to be the biggest in Southeast Asia. You know, we want to be the biggest. We want to be the biggest in Southeast Asia. There are stingless bees farms out there. Believe me, there are, but their lands are small. 2 hectares, maybe 5, the biggest I have known. But we had hundreds, or close to thousands of land, you know. And we wanted to be the biggest in Southeast Asia. Hopefully for,
The biggest farm?
the biggest stingless bee farm in Southeast Asia. It's a bold step. It's like, you know, going to the moon. You know, it's just going to the moon.
Tropical, you guys have pollinators and you have flowers all year round.
Actually, no.
No?
No.
During the dry season.
Not during the dry season.
How long is the dry season?
6 months, 6 and 6.
Half and
Yeah.
half, oh.
Yes, half and half, 6 and 6. People in the Philippines now, they don't have a lot of lands. And number 2, they don't maximize the utilization of lands. And number 3, instead of having agricultural lands, they would sell it to commercial construction companies for them to be for residential purposes, apartments, condominiums, buildings, and so on and so forth. We're losing it, you know, we're losing it. And if those slowly, gradually happens, the bees won't have any place to grow or to nurture you know, the agricultural aspect of the country or the region. When I was teaching, it was funny, I was teaching science in my classroom, and I asked the kids, what are the things you need to, 4 things you need to grow a plant so that you have fruits? They said sunlight, soil, and water. And everybody said, there's no 4th one you need. And there was this little kid raising his hand and says, hey, pick me. And I said, what's the 4th one? Well, you need a farmer, right? Well, yes, you need a farmer, but number 4 is you need a pollinator, you know. So that's the reason why. And we found out that the bread and butter of these bees is actually not flowers. Well, it is flowers, but they specifically target the flowers of the coconuts. The coconut flowers. They hang out sometimes every now and then on those little small bushes of flowers, but they're up there. They're pollinating the coconut flowers. We found out that some of the areas that the bees are stationed, the production of the coconut yields are going up.
Do you have any loss in those 6 months that it's so dry that there's not much for them to harvest? Do any of your hives ever die from
Do they starve?
No, actually no. Well, actually we don't have that kind of experience because all of the land that we have is obviously rich with natural spring water. My grandfather probably thought this is a good investment 20, 50 years from now. If the world will run out of water, this land or any land will never, we will not have, water will not disappear. It's been during World War II that this water has been there and has never disappeared, has never dried up. Last 2019, there was a hole there, tiny hole, and I put my hands down and I could feel the pressure going up. And I drink directly from that water. I never had a diarrhea or whatnot.
So does that land have plants that are pollinated, or?
As long as it's only mostly coconut trees, the bread and butter of that land is coconut trees because the land is actually catered more producing for oil, coconut oils. So they harvest the coconuts and so on. There's other stuff, there's mangoes, there's coffee, there's other fruit-bearing trees. But these bees, they just don't pay attention to them. I mean, they do, but 1 or 2. And we notice that they're up there pollinating their most favorite flower, which is the coconut trees, you know.
So do the coconut trees require insect pollination in order to produce fruit?
It's a good question because right now we are introducing dwarf coconuts as high as this and and you don't have to climb coconut trees, you know what I mean? Now, it doesn't really require pollination, but because of wind is also a pollinator too, remember that. Man is also a pollinator. If you walk through the grasslands, it sticks in your pants or your body. There's so many pollinators, you know, natural pollinators. This is the most important pollinators that a farmer should have. So, do they really require a pollinator for them to yield more coconuts? We cannot prove it, really. We cannot, because there were no bees back then, and the coconuts are producing not as many as now. That's what we could say. Not as many as now.
So they do require insect pollination?
To me, it is, because I see them hanging out. You know, because if you don't see them hanging out, they're not there. There's no reason for them to be there. The wild ones, I've seen the wild ones, which we would harvest them from the coconut tree itself. It's so high. I mean, I'm just scared. I'm just scared for somebody to climb and harvest the wild ones. They live there. Maybe it's because they feel safe on a high area. I don't know. Maybe they feel safe there. That's why they love to hang out. I've never seen a wild stingless bee in our farm or any farms that are wildly have their hives in a low tree. It's always high. You know, instinct, I guess.
Understand this, are your palm trees tall or short?
The ones that we're trying to produce now, the coconuts ones, are, we call it dwarf coconuts. They're about this high. We want them not to exert so much flying efforts so that it will be easier for them to pollinate their own hives.
So they grafted onto something else so they became dwarfs?
Yes, they would. Yeah, they would. Okay. Now, dry season, we have no problems because there's abundance of water everywhere. You know, that's the main reason why I keep.
Is that because of the volcano, the water?
Oh, we're too far from the volcano. Yeah, we're too far from the volcano. Yeah. Yeah. So aside from wishing that we wanted to be the biggest in Southeast Asia, hopefully we achieve that 10 years from now. Maybe I would start with answering Laney's question that, you know, how do you manage this commercially? When you say commercially, to me, it means the dollar sign. I have bad news for you. You won't make money raising stingless bee honeys.
We don't make money raising.
Yeah, it's just like us.
You won't make money. I mean, you won't make money. Guaranteed 100%. With all the investments, it's not really a huge investment, but again, we don't make any money, okay? Now, it's so, what's the best way? So somebody, a close friend of mine, you know, Jay, you're so stupid. Why are you spending so much effort and time to do this if you're not going to make money? Well, I said, you know what? First of all, if you want to put a business, you need to have do we have an accountant here? No? Okay. First of all, I said, you need to have a crook accountant. Number two, the most important thing, you need to have a very forgiving priest if you're going to go to business. It was a joke. It's nice to hear when, you know, when say, give something back to society. We tell them, you know, mankind has to give something to society. This approach we're trying to do is that we want the bees to give back to society. So in these pictures that I will show you, out from the sales of the honey, we were able to establish a library for the kids, okay? Oh, can I?
Just double click on
This one? Okay.
Yep. And then
It's a big hive.
I like the little there too on the ladder.
It's a library. It's a library, you know? It's on top of the tree, which symbolizes, obviously it's a big hive, correct? Looks like a hive, which they live on top of a tree, okay? The inside of that, which I'm very, very, proud of it, that's it. The books came from the United States, by the way, in Rutgers University. They're all donations.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes, the kids love it. The kids love it. Imagine learning on top of a tree.
Is it humid there?
It is. Yes, it is. But there are some parts as part of the season which is not, you know. There you go. So this tree library house or library was spent by these sales. The proceeds came from the sale of the honey. So now what we're trying to do is kids in our farm go there. You know, these kids, they don't know how to use sometimes haven't seen a pencil in their lives or have used one or twice pencil in their lives. We're providing them free use of it. It's practically free education. So again, another stupid question given to me, asked me by my friend of mine, he says, how are you going to sustain that? He goes, and he's a businessman. He works for Wall Street. And I said, I'll go around this. And he said, how? Well, I will ask politicians to fund me for education and let them realize that this is a very important aspect of it, instead of selling, depending on the proceeds of the sales of the bees. And he goes, you know what, you're the most evil person in the world, perhaps. So we're going to be asking actually, there was a Tea Party member who just contacted me from the Philippines and said, you know what, I love your idea. We would like to participate and fund your project for education. So what we're trying to do is we will not build schools or rooms, but we will use our farm as an outdoor learning environment to prove that learning is not limited in the confines of the four walls of the room, and connect it to the love of the environment, that the bees are very important, and so on and so forth. We will not make money selling the honeys, but we will try to get them as much as money from them as to education purposes, for the sake of a community development. Again, this is actually nature in action, giving back to society, not mankind. So that's the most important thing.
Use the propolis as antiseptic?
Well, I wanted to reveal this. I was thinking, maybe should I not reveal it, not reveal it? But okay, let me back up a little bit. I'll answer that. Now, there are bee farms in so many different locations. Okay, they're all scattered. The villagers are trying to experiment how to use that into medicinal purposes and so on and so forth. Because of the economic condition, they cannot afford to go see doctors and pay medicine. They use the propolis, put olive oil, cook it, blah, blah, blah. And I live in the United States. I always believe in doctors. My mom is a doctor, so I always believe in prescriptions and things like those. Amazingly, slowly, people are saying that their foot fungal has been removed. There was one before I was at the airport, international airport. Somebody called me and goes, "Wow, this is a good news." Because one of the residents, the workers, the sister has a stage 4 breast cancer, and can't afford to go see medical attention. Open wound, pus coming out, smelly, all those things, and he's been using this secretly out from, you don't know why, he's just trying to experiment this, and went to a doctor, oncologist, and he was asked, "How come? What happened? Why is this bump went smaller? It was this big when the first time I saw it." And he said he's been using this. It's crazy to share this now because I don't have proof. It's also shared because I don't have a scientific study to it. Yes.
Jane, there is a lot of very good scientific evidence that proves propolis is antimicrobial.
Yeah.
It kills bacteria, viruses, and fungi. If you read Marla Spivak's research from the University of Minnesota, that's extremely well documented.
Wow. Okay. See,
By a lot of scientists, not just isolated ones.
So would their propolis be comparable to our propolis? Do you think?
You don't know yet.
It depends on the trees from which the resin has been gathered, but most propolis pretty much worldwide has at least some medicinal value.
So if I were to connect the testimonies of the villagers there, and it's not like, there's a few of them, maybe close to about 30 or 40 who's been using it, and is claiming the ones that they have now is no longer with them. Rashes, oh my God, fungal infection. They don't have access to medicine. Money is always a problem. So they resort to organic way of healing themselves. And ever since we put the library, we've been getting a lot of children, and a lot of teachers coming in. we avoid asking them to pay for entrance fees, so we use the words donation. We've been swamped. It's swamped. It's 7 days open. The farm is open 7 days, 7 days a week, and they go. All of those books and papers and stuff, they came from the United States, from here. I shipped them.
When did you open the library?
They just have inauguration summer. I was there.
This past summer?
Yeah, this past summer,
So
yes.
it's only been in existence a few months?
Yeah, 3 months.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, 3 months. Out from the proceeds of sales of bees. So every time there was a sale of the honey, put it in a small little box, and until we were able to, I put some a little bit, maybe $400, just to speed up a little bit, but the rest is there. Now, these children are told, this is because you have this because of what you see out there, working 8 to 4, flying and doing their job. So it's a connection of a relationship. So we tell them, nature is giving back to you. Love them, take care of them, and so on. It would take so much generation or for us to infuse that in their minds. But I'm still hopeful.
You have to sell your honey like Manuka. Special.
Oh, the Australians. Now, so let's go to why are there any more pictures? I can't.
I don't think so.
No, that's about it.
Why not turn the light on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can turn the light on.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So, where was I? Why am I encouraging or discouraging the exportation of stingless bees? Okay. Why? Back in 2019, I'll walk you through a little bit of my history of what happened and what I'm finding out. 2019, I've seen a few Australians who are trying to give lessons to communities about stingless bees. Oh wow, I mean, an expert coming from Australia to here. Why, there's no experts in the Philippines, that's why probably you're here or what? Okay, you know what, this is a free country, you could do whatever you want. Giving seminars, like you guys, educating farmers. But I'm very suspicious. A developed country may be helping a developing country, and so on and so forth. Now, I went to school, an international school, and I went to school in Australia. I have friends there, okay? And I asked, what's up with these people of yours that are trying to buy bees and go to Australia? We have our problems, varroa mites. Infestations of varroa mites, bad. Even the royal government has to order to burn thousands of hives to prevent them to spread. The Australians are very, very die-hard of pollinators. And their pollinators are the big ones before them, the honeybees. But they cannot keep up with the mites to a point they have to burn them. Now, is this a fairy tale? No, because back in 2020, it was ordered to burn a lot of hives. Back in 2002, it was ordered again to eliminate the hives. Back in 2002 of July, I have the news from a newspaper in Australia. They ordered again to burn the hives. So what does it mean? They're losing their stingless bees. They're losing their honeybees. The option now is for them to switch to the type of bee that does not or is not affected by the mites. And stingless bee is the answer to them. And they're buying crazy for $20 per hive that you saw, and they're selling it for $260, $280. Now, what happens economically if all of our hives in the Philippines goes to Australia, we will lose the heritage of that. And we will probably not be able to be the only stingless bees in the Philippines. So Australia is actually doing something to save their farms or for their crops, because they need it very much on their macadamia nuts and other crops. They really want their pollinators, but it's infested with mites and ordered for 4 or 5 times in X number of years. It is really a disaster. So right now, Australia is starting to cope, rebuild again the colonies of bees, but more interested now on stingless bees, because the mites are not, the mites, they don't have problems with mites. We don't have problems with mites. The speakers or trainers who go to the Philippines, educating the farmers, they don't discuss this about the mites problems. They're just discussing it, how to propagate, how to harvest. They don't even tell the people what are the byproducts you could come up with producing your stingless bees. It's just education, the sex of bees, and so on and so forth. You know what? We don't need that. Yes?
Yes, are the bees immune to the larval mites, or do you have larval mites in the Philippines?
You know, I asked that question many, many times, and even the experts in the universities, do they really exist in the country? They cannot answer, they don't have a direct answer. You know, they don't have a direct answer.
They don't have honeybees at all?
We have honeybees. They have honeybees. They have the African species, the big ones. They will sting you. You know, they have the big ones. Yeah. Dorsadas, yes, big ones. And their mass, they could produce honeys, you know, productively, big time. Okay. The problem with that is that in the Philippines, there is a bee, which I don't know the scientific name. They call it the pocutan. It looks like it's a bee that has stripes, but it's black and white alternately. The most vicious, the most aggressive, and the most territorial bee in that land. Those African killer bees, they would kill them. They would eliminate them. So to answer your question, how come there's no virulence? Maybe because there is somebody who kills in the hierarchy of the ecology of the animals. Someone's already killing them. They don't need somebody to kill them. I don't know. But I've never seen any or heard any complaints about mites attacking our stingless bees or any farms at all. Not even one.
These are too small.
And also it's too small. Imagine those mites will be hopping into their backs and flying. You know, it is. It's probably not worth it. Probably for the mites saying, you know what, it's not worth it. No, it's not. So the Australians, the reason why they're buying this is because they want to replenish the ones that have been burning for X number of times. And unfortunately, there is no moratorium to it. And they're aggressively buying it for $20 maximum, and they're selling it there for $340 US, Australian dollars per hive. Now, that's another thing. We're trying to prevent that to happen. The second one, hold on, let me just finish here. The second one is that if that will be the case, it's also good as a livelihood for the farmers, right? But we want a stability of prices. We don't like this buyer, Australian buyer, offer you $15 because you only have 10 hives to sell, and I'll offer you more than that because you have less. No, there has to be a balance, like you said, equal. When you sell it, everybody should really enjoy it, and this is our price as a bee raiser. It can only be done politically. It can only be done back up by a lot of resolutions based on what Congress would offer. You know, what Congress could understand. Why do we have to put a moratorium to it? It's a struggle, it's a battle, it's a long thing, and I don't know how it's going to work, but so far there's 3 or 4 politicians who are listening to what I'm saying, and hopefully the MOA that we're trying to establish, it will go and disseminate that we need this to stop. Yes, sir?
If your bees want to pollinate coconut trees, why do they pollinate Australia?
The macadamia, for us, I think what they're trying, they don't have coconuts. They do have coconuts because it's if you go to the beaches too, they have also some coconuts. There's not a lot. But I think because of they're also attracted on the macadamia nuts and other fruit-bearing trees. They have mangoes. Australia is also a good producer of mangoes. Our mangoes are also one of the, our Stingless bees, they go to the mango flowering too. It's just their bread and butter. You know, if you go to a menu of lists, hey, you know what, I prefer this food rather than this one. Maybe I'll try that one when I don't have access on the better food that I want.
I assume that your honey has a unique taste or flavor.
Yes.
In comparison to our honey.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Would you say it's more intense, it's smoother, it's richer? See, my dark honey is my favorite honey.
Yeah, so, all right, let me just, all right. This was harvested back in May 15, 2021. I'm sure Landy was going to say, oh my God, what is this? But hey, you know what? I'm not offended. I love criticisms. But obviously, this is from the Stingless honeybee. And this was we forcibly harvested this. Why? I don't know. I forgot the reason why. But it's 6 months old. 6 months old. One hive. One hive. You know, just one hive. The color is different. You could come in and you could have a taste of it. Huh?
Will it crystallize later?
I don't know. We tried to. Hold on. So this one, when I went home a few months ago, harvested also. So no worries. We follow strict protocol as far as disinfecting our equipment. My mom has a franchise of LabCorp, so we use his equipment too. so you could, you know, feel free. Now, personally, yes, I buy honeys in supermarket here. Okay. I want to be fair as far as my review is concerned. Okay. It is good. It is good. I mean, no offense. I mean, I like it and stuff.
A lot of the honey in supermarkets that you buy here
Okay,
comes
from
from China.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If you're going to buy honey
Just go to you.
in the United States, you should buy from us.
Yes. You know what? That's a good thing.
Style Saviors, but it's
Yeah.
from China.
So, last but not the least, the reason why we also wanted a moratorium on the exportation of these Stingless is because I found a research that you know it has proven that it reduces laboratory mites induced in diabetes, reduce their body mass. It's there. I could share it to you, you know, but that's the only thing probably. You can't make money out of these guys, but I think I will capitalize on that research. So that I'm looking for a pharmaceutical research company that will validate that research. And if it's really the answer, and you know what? That's probably going to be the answer to diabetic people around the world. You know, the Stingless honeybees may have a very good contribution to cure diabetic people, humanity at all. You know, that would be. But I need somebody. If you know somebody, you know what? Listen, just email me, and I'm itching to do that.
Why is one darker than the other?
Different flowers.
I know why ours are darker.
Well, maybe because of, but you could see it when I open it. It's almost similar, but this is a little bit lighter. Okay, I've been mixing this with my coffee, this one too, but I prefer this to make my coffee and lemonade juice. This is awesome for lemonade juice.
I like the darkest because it's got the most intense flavor.
Yeah.
Do you find that your darker is more flavorful or?
You're gonna get to try it.
It all depends. Like I said to Landy, you know, your taste buds will be challenged actually. This is a honey coming from the other side of the world. And this is wild to me. This is pure honey. There's a lot of people selling honeys in the Philippines, but you got to be very, very careful because 99% of them are adulterated. Yeah. 99%. 99%. So we sell our honey. We don't go to supermarkets. We don't bottle them and put them on a shelves. No, we don't. You want honey, you want pure, you go to the farm. We will give you it during harvest time. Simple as that. And people would sometimes, hey, you know, when would be your next harvest? November 5th, we had a harvest there, and there was a waiting list. And it was funny. You know, it was funny. But anyway, so that's about it. I mean, I'm hoping that you guys enjoy it, you know.